What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and about a year after reviewing the Mercedes EQS 580, we now have its bigger brother, the Mercedes EQS 580 SUV. This car is one that I've been really excited to check out because now on the top of Mercedes' EQS lineup, you have the EQS, the EQE, and also the EQS SUV, offering a lot more different size options depending on what works the best for your lifestyle. So here we have the car that has the most cargo for you to be able to bring all of your friends on a road trip, or also a great family car. But at the same time, you also have the option of up to 7 seats in the vehicle by using the third row. All that comes together in the all-electric format while also having all the great interior features that we've enjoyed on the rest of the EQS lineup, and one that I personally love. When it comes to electric cars, one of the most exciting things is seeing which direction each manufacturer has taken. Some of them have gone relatively conservative, whereas others have gone very bold. And I would say that Mercedes has gone relatively conservative in its exterior design, but wasn't afraid to utilize as much technology as possible in the interior while also embracing their heritage and craftsmanship. This video is going to be crazy because we're not only going to be driving this car around for a week, but I'm also heading up to the Arctic to test the EQS SUV in the most extreme scenarios in Arpelog, Sweden. It is a long journey out there, but I'm really excited about it. And we're also going to be visiting the manufacturing facility of the Mercedes EQS SUV lineup in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So here we are in Alabama checking out the production assembly line of the EQS SUV, as well as a few other electric models, as well as the battery assembly plant. This facility is one that recently opened, and seeing the cars assembled in different stages while also implementing some of the technologies and techniques of other Mercedes vehicles produced in Germany was really interesting. And this is specifically for the SUV line, as the EQS sedan line is produced in Germany. This new battery factory features an approximately 300-meter long production line with over 70 workstations and a host of components that are assembled to complete the full system. By producing these vehicles in the US, it will allow them to meet the demand of these electric full-size SUVs, but being able to go behind the scenes of any production facility is always a treat, and we've had the opportunity to do it around the world a few times now. Now that we've seen the production though, let's head off to Arpelog, Sweden to see the extreme testing with engineers. So after a 20-hour journey, we've made it up to northern Sweden, literally right on the cusp of the Arctic Circle. And today we're gonna be driving the Mercedes EQS 580 SUV around a circuit that is up in the mountains. I'm really excited about this as we start to do more of these winter driving experiences to be able to test both the traction and the performance of these electric cars, as well as getting some information about the regenerative aspect when it comes to the braking, the way it's able to utilize that power, but most importantly, just how it's able to navigate in the off-roading mode. This electric car is one that we've actually had quite a bit of experience with when it comes to similar models, including the EQS 580 that we reviewed on the channel last year. The interior is absolutely beautiful, and in the week that I had it, I really enjoyed bringing it around town, and I'm also going to be driving this car around for about a week in my hometown when I get home on Monday. We're actually going to be hopping in the car soon, talking about the driving experience before heading over to a frozen lake to further that experience in this winter temperature. Arpelog, Sweden is a very popular place for electric car companies and car companies in general to do their extreme weather testing, just because it gets so cold here, and especially with the era of electric cars being a zero compromise experience, it also allows them to test the battery performance and the range when it comes to the longevity of those batteries beyond the actual traction and handling experience alone. So looking at the body of the vehicle itself, this is actually the larger model of the two. We also saw the launch of the EQE at the Paris Auto Show in 2022, but this is like the flagship model of the fully electric SUV. The design itself has a lot of similarities to the EQS 580, both in the interior as well as exterior elements, such as the star front here that I really love. As we drive through the terrain, it really has a nice reflection in front of it, and you have this large Mercedes logo here. But I think what is really special is the interior for long road trips, just to be able to sit back and relax, and it has a lot of the elements that are famous in the Mercedes interiors, specifically in the S-Class as well. So after a super long journey here, I'm I'm really excited to hop in and drive the circuit, so let's go. So being able to check out Arpalog, Sweden really was an interesting experience. It's a town that's made up of car manufacturers that are testing the vehicles to the extremes for their consumers around the world, and seeing the behind the scenes process from the engineering side in addition to the production side really tells a lot to the EQS story. In an open field test like this, we're really able to test the limits of the vehicle and see what these cars are really capable of beyond any general consumer scenario. So now let's talk about the interior of the Mercedes EQS 580 SUV. And this is essentially my favorite part whenever I review Mercedes cars, because even though the driving experience is amazing, I think where they really separate themselves from the competition is the interior. Many different electric car companies have taken a different approach and angle as to how they're going to do the interiors for this next generation of electric cars, where you can really embrace technology. But I think Mercedes has found a really good balance of both. Not only is there bespoke materials and tons of different options, including Nappa leather options, but the stitching and everything is very quintessential to what you find in an upscale Mercedes S-Class, and I just love how that's been translated into the electric generation. When it comes to the interior itself, we've reviewed the EQS already, and so I've already seen this interior, and this is just nice to see in the other form factor of the larger SUV model, but it really isn't a surprise. I mean, we have the 56-inch MBUX Hyperscreen, which comes standard on the 580 model, but on the models below, you can add it as an additional option, and the price does vary based on region, but the 56-inch total size of the MBUX display gives you a total of 3 screens. You have the screen here, which is the main control unit, which is a very unique shape, but it all blends into this one piece across. The passenger has controls, and you of course also have the driver's screen right here, which shows all of the information, and every aspect of this is customizable. So you really have to spend some time to go into the settings and really make this experience your own. And in this model of the EQS 580, there's also the 2 displays on the back for the passengers that are 11.6 inches, and they have controls for all of their own comfort settings, as well as an HDMI input to be able to plug in a source of video to watch movies, for example. And in our case, we even tested it with a game console, but it was an interesting experience. Other than that though, of course, you have the LED trim that goes across that I love. You can have it in just ambient lighting modes, different gradients, monochromatic colors, or also in an energizing setting, and you can kind of set that for both the driver and the passenger. This specific one also has a signature scent, which I think is a really cool touch, because every time you come back into your car, you can enjoy that smell that you have selected yourself. All of this is capped off with the 3D Burmester experience, which I know Mercedes has put a ton of R&D when it comes to audio technology to find ways to make it as immersive as possible. I think the final comment that I have is, if you're looking for the ultimate luxury experience that you should expect out of a high-end vehicle, and even ones that are significantly more expensive, such as the likes of Bentley and Rolls-Royce, this is really a car that you could sit back, relax, and kind of cruise in. So that pretty much sums up the interior of the EQS 580 SUV. And as someone who did review the EQS already, I mean, it is exactly what I expected, and I still love it. Everyone who hops in this car for the first time just really enjoys the presence and the comfort that you have as you cruise around town or go on a long road trip. So before we move on, I want to give a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, Leia, and their new Lume Pad 2. The world's first AI-based 3D tablet. This right here is a tablet that from a hardware standpoint has a lot to talk about, because it is very well put together, and it may not have been a brand that you've heard about before, but there's a lot of revolutionary technology that is in this tablet that is really going to change the game. So let's go ahead and unbox this tablet first, and as soon as you open it up, you're greeted with the 12.4-inch display that has a 120 Hz 2560 by 1600 resolution. From a display quality standpoint, I think it looks really good. The colors are very vibrant, and overall has a really nice level of brightness as well. So if you're just trying to consume multimedia on a general basis, it is a very enjoyable experience. But in terms of a technological standpoint, there's so much more that this tablet is able to offer. Being the world's first AI-powered 3D tablet, it has infinite 3D content, realistic 3D capture, optimized 3D viewing, as well as limitless 3D creation. It is powered by the Snapdragon 888 processor with 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 128 gigabyte expandable SD storage, as well as a fingerprint sensor and USB fast charging. Adding to the multimedia though, it also has quad speakers that are Dolby Atmos compatible. The hardware execution though is really good. I mean, this whole tablet is made out of metal. It feels really solid. I love the squared off edges, and I mean, it just looks really clean on the front here. All the buttons are very tactile, and so from a hardware standpoint, it has been great. But when it comes to like AI and 3D technology, the reason why it is so impressive is that there's actual face trackers that are built into the display, and that is able to give you that interactive 3D visual experience. In this demonstration here, you can see the Leia face tracking in action as it tracks where my face is through the cameras on the front and adjusts the perspective of the image accordingly to get the best effect of the 3D. I was able to kind of tilt the tablet in different ways, and as it sees the perspective of the face change, the image is able to reflect that, and that is able to give you that 3D experience without any glasses needed in conjunction with the display technology. The LumePad 2 allows you to access a whole suite of proprietary Leia apps that allow you to take full advantage of the AI technology. Some of them include the Leia Tube app, as well as Leia Dream, Leia Chat, which makes it the first device to ship with 3D calling powered by Zoom. And one of my favorite ones was actually using Leia Tube. It allows you to go to YouTube and find any YouTube video, and in this case, I picked one of my own and convert it into 3D, and you're able to adjust the effects accordingly. Within the Leia Tube app, it has also curated a set of videos that you can choose from depending on the different genres, but I really enjoyed converting a typical 2D video into 3D. Leia Dream is also a really fun app that allows you to explore the wave of AI art. So just go ahead and type in a prompt, and in this case, we're gonna type in a race car as well as a desk setup, and it'll generate an AI image that you're able to once again enjoy in 3D and experiment accordingly with different prompts. And this is gonna be huge, and I've already seen some amazing examples of AI art. When it comes to the cameras on the back, this is also unique. I know people say you shouldn't take any photos or videos on a tablet. It is 3D stereoscopic cameras that are built into this tablet that allow you to capture content in 3D and play it back on the display itself, utilizing the technologies of the display. So if you want to go ahead and content capture while trying to demonstrate it to someone and showing them after the fact, then having the cameras built in that is able to capture in that format is also very impressive. So yeah, like from a hardware standpoint and a software standpoint, it has been really unique testing out the new LumePad 2 from Leia. And especially being able to capture content in 3D, it is something really interesting. So if you guys want to go ahead and check this out for yourself, it starts at a price of $1,100, and I'm going to drop a link down below, and a huge thanks to Leia once again for sponsoring this video. So taking a look at the car right here, it has a lot of the similar characteristics in design to the rest of the lineup, but I think the interior is really where this car has gone over the top. It stands out in so many ways, but from the outside, it is relatively muted, and I think some people really like that, whereas others want a car that has a lot more presence. But in a lot of ways, I think that just being able to cruise around and enjoy yourself in the interior is really nice, but at the same time, it's still very aerodynamically sleek as well. You get a 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds, a 108 kilowatt hour battery, and nearly 300 miles of range on a full charge. This car though is quite large, and it's a lot bigger than I expected. I knew the SUV was going to be the one with the most cargo, and I also saw the EQE in person, which is a smaller brother, but this car really does have maximized space in the front and back seats, and the trunk space is also incredible. As someone who definitely has to haul a lot of stuff around when it comes to camera equipment and luggage, we've had to have a company car over the past couple years to be able to store all that equipment, and even going with vehicles that are known to have quite a bit of cargo is not always enough. But this really does maximize that in every single way, and I feel like that is the biggest reason why somebody would go ahead and pick up an EQS. I think as a family vehicle, it is just so perfect. And let's just show you guys what this is able to store. I mean, we have quite a bit of stuff here right now, but yeah, you have plenty of room for a bunch of luggage, and the way that it's kind of opened up, you can also push down the seats in the second row, so that is awesome. But in this case, we don't actually have the third row option, and I think what is a huge treat is being able to sit in the back seat of the EQS SUV. So now let's go for a drive in the Mercedes EQS 580 SUV. And we've had quite a few different scenarios where we've been able to test this car specifically. Out there, we were able to test both the handling, the drifting, as well as just like in controlled scenarios, being able to push the limits of the car was a lot of fun. So in terms of comfort, I can't think of a better car to just cruise around town in. Of course, it has all of the great characteristics that you expect out of an S-Class interior and comfort. But when you want some pace in it, the EQS SUV, considering its size, still has a crazy amount of jump with the dual synchronous motors at a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of about 4.5 seconds. With the 3 different options that you have in terms of the motors and the interior trims, you can really pick the one that is right for you. And in terms of the range, you're able to get about 285 miles on a single charge, but that definitely does vary based on the different settings that you have it in. But I think the biggest takeaway from this is that electric cars nowadays have a ton of similarities. But what is unique about the Mercedes experience is that they've really utilized their expertise when it comes to the handling and performance, as well as integrating cutting-edge technology with the huge amounts of R&D resource that they have, of course. And they're really not afraid to demonstrate that, as we've seen with our trip to the Arctic, where we were told to really push the limits of the vehicle because it is able to handle a lot more than we'd expect. As we take a look at the Mercedes EQ lineup of SUVs and sedans nowadays, though, you really have a ton of options. On the SUV side alone, you have the option between the EQE and the EQS, with the EQE being a bit more compact that can suit many different types of lifestyles, and there's been an overwhelming demand in not only North America, but around the world for mid-size SUVs. These really give you the practicality and cargo space that you expect out of an SUV, but with the EQE 53 AMG, for example, you also get the performance of a sporty vehicle in a more compact form factor. It's really interesting as you see the electrification process of the EQ lineup. Being able to kind of enjoy this car over the past week has been super incredible. And if you guys want to see more car videos around the world as we test out the whole generation of electric cars and also performance vehicles, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and also leave a comment down below as to what your favorite feature is of the EQS SUV.